Recording in progress. Thank you very much.
Let's give all our guests a warm welcome. Now, before we get to the meeting, I've got some announcements. First off, we voted last week that the bucket is going to go to flood relief in Houston. Max has got us a Rotary Club in Houston. We were contacted, and I don't know if you read in the paper, but Beryl did $2.5 billion worth of damage as it swept across the country. $1.5 billion of it in Houston, and I don't know if they still have people without power. So we're going to do that. I invite you to be generous. Second, went down Monday for the third week in a row and had to disassemble another 30 flags. We've got to build listen up, folks. We got to build 150 flags before Labor Day. This is the 18th of July. Labor Day is bearing down on us. So this Saturday, Ivan and Randy Hubbard and I are going to pre-punch flags. But the next Saturday, the 27th, and Saturday, August the 3rd, we need to build flags. From 8:30 to 9:30, and we need as many as to get there because we've got to build 150 flags in those 2 days. All right? With that, our guest today is Shannon Phillips, the City of Irving Budget Director. And this is Mara's attempt at creative writing. Pulling together a budget for a city the size of Irving requires a lot of moving pieces and to the crazy pace at which our city is growing, which means more services are needed for more residents and businesses. And well, hopefully you can appreciate what kind of work this requires. Thank you for being here. And this microphone you have to hold like you're going to do it like you're going to sing at the national anthem for the All-Star game, but try not to do it the neighborhood.
I got your slides, so let me know whenever.
Okay. Okay, again, I want to thank you for inviting us here to present the budget for you. Want to talk about the city budget. We're always happy the residents running the budget process. And also thank you for all the good service work that you. Okay, next slide. Briefly today, we'll go over the budget process and the calendar. We'll talk about where the budget comes from and where it goes. We'll look at the current 2024 budget projection. We'll also discuss the fiscal year 25. This is our budget process. Right now, we're in the thick and thin of the field budget. We usually kick off budget. That's it. Okay. Sorry. We usually kick off budget in March or early April. This is where we give the departments all of their budget documents, and they give the city managers priorities. And so we give them about 30 days so that they can prepare their budgets. And they're usually due back to us in the beginning of May. Also, we have our May budget and strategic planning meeting. That's usually mid-May. And that's where council gets together and discuss their priorities for the upcoming budget year. In June, we're pretty busy. June and July. The city manager will sit down with each of the departments and go through their line item budget review. And we also have 2 public hearing meetings on the budget in June. This is where we invite residents to come out and give their input on the budget. And these are usually at the 2 June city council meetings. In July, specifically July 25th, that's when we get the certified roll from DCAD. And this is the basis for the fiscal year 25 budget. And it's the property tax valuation as of January the 1st. In August, we have our annual budget retreat. This year, the August 15th. And this is where the city manager presents its recommended budget to city council. And also the proposed tax. In August and September, we have 2 additional public hearings, and these are in accordance with the truth in taxation laws. And so these are presented on August the 29th and September the 5th. On September the 12th, that's when we will adopt, council will adopt the budget and the tax rate. And then October the 1st starts our new fiscal year. The city's fiscal year is from October the 1st through September the 30th. Okay, where the money comes from. The city's accounting structure is based on funds, and as you can see to the left, the fund categories. That's how we budget by funds. For fiscal year 24, we adopted a little over $1 billion revenue budget. And as you can see, property taxes, charges for services, some of our bonds, those are some of our larger categories. For this
Wow.
So the general fund for this presentation is probably more fund that you'd be more interested in learning about. It is affected by the property tax rate. Our general fund is the city's largest operating fund. It funds basic services like public safety, parks and recreation, public works, community and development services, and administration. The major revenue sources for the general fund include property tax, sales tax, and our franchise fees, and these make up more than 80% of the total general fund revenue total. Here is a pie chart of the fiscal year 24 adopted general fund revenues. We adopted a budget of $289.5 billion. As you can see, it's split out by categories of property tax, sales tax, franchise fees, and then other revenue sources as well. The major general fund revenue sources account for 87% of the general fund revenue total. We have property taxes at 47% or $136 million. We have sales tax of 33% or almost $95 million. And then our franchise fees of 7% or $19.1 million.
Just keep going and go loud.
Just keep going and go loud. Property taxes are 7% or $136 million. And again, I want you to put a pin in numbers when we get to general fund expenses.
You're gonna go back.
Yeah. Okay. When we get to general fund expenses, I want to have you remember this stuff. Next slide. Okay, property taxes again, this is based on the certified value as of January the 1st of the year. For tax year 2023, our certified value is $39 billion. This is a 3.2% billion increase from the prior year. Of this increase, we have $395 million in new construction, and the property tax revenue is calculated on our tax rate of 0.5891 taxable tax value. The tax rate is split into two components. You have the operations and maintenance, which was funds basic city services. The second part of the tax rate is the INS rate, and this is what funds are principal and interest on the debt that's issued. For fiscal year 24, based on just your city taxes. Yes. For fiscal year 24, for your city taxes, your tax rate encompasses the school district, the city of Irving, as well as the county. So for fiscal year 24, based on single family taxable average value of $279,704 with a 20% homestead exemption, taxes were $110 per month or $1,818 a year. And so for $110 a month, you get 24-hour police and fire protection, as well as use of parks and recreation and road work and other basic services. Yes. Okay, franchise fees, again, this is our third largest revenue category for the general fund for fiscal year 24. It was $19.1 billion or 7%. Franchise fees is a rate typically paid by electric, telecommunications, water and gas, and other companies for the use of the public rights of way. The rates have maintained relatively unchanged, except for the telecommunications franchise fee, which adjusts every year based on CPI. But the growth, because of franchise fees are mainly regulated, the growth in the franchise fees is basically due to increase in population. Other revenues like the charges for services, miscellaneous receipts, fines and fees, zoning and development, and interest income, they account for a little over 20% of the total general fund revenue budget. And most other sources have recovered from to pre-pandemic levels, with the exception of fines and fees and permits. The city has been doing a consolidated fee review over the last few fiscal years to make sure that we are in line with our other benchmark cities on fee charges, and investment income has been significant due to the rate increases from the Federal Reserve. Other funds besides the general fund that also make up the budget, we have our enterprise funds, and these are funded from user fees, and these are for the utilities like water and wastewater, solid waste and drainage. We have our internal service funds, and these are funded from operating transfers from cost and internal services, such as IT, fleet, and vehicle replacement. We have our special revenue funds. These are any funds that are not separated from the general fund by law, regulation, or best practice, and examples are economic development and municipal court. Grant funds receive allocation from HUD for federal funds that assist us with our community development programs. We also have hotel occupancy tax funds. These are funded from the 9% local hotel occupancy tax collected on hotel room stays and basically fund tourism. We have our debt service funds. Again, this funds repayment of the debt, the principal and the interest that we issued, and the rate of the year is 0.1597. And then we have the capital project funds, and these fund our capital improvement program. So now we've seen where the money comes. Now I'll show you where the money goes. Again, we still have the same fund categories, but as you can see from the donut chart, we adopted $998.8 million all funds expenditure budget for fiscal year 24. Sales and benefits make up the large total of this budget, as well as our capital. For general fund purposes for fiscal year 24, we also adopted a $289.5 million budget because we were structurally balanced. And public safety accounts for 53% or $153 million of the general fund budget. General government, which is administration and support departments, make up 27% or $79 million of total budget. Our public works makes up about 10% at $28 million, and then parks and libraries 10% at almost $29 million. Go back. And again, when I had asked you to look at the property tax, it makes up 47% of the general fund revenue budget at $136 million. But our highest expenditure total in the general fund budget is public safety, which makes up 53%. That's our police and fire at 153 million. So we have to supplement sales tax and other revenues just to fund our police and fire. Also, this is looking at the general fund expenditures by category, and over 71% of the general fund budget is for salaries and benefits. We are a service organization, and this funds about a little over 1,900 authorized positions in the general fund. And every fund, every position, authorized position in the city, it provides a service either directly, as you may see, the streets or the police or the fire, or an indirect support, such as the budget staff or IT. General expenditures for fiscal year 24, we made a significant competitive pay investment for fiscal year 24, $20 million. We transitioned all employees to the 80th percentile. Police was first at the 65th percentile. And so last year, transitioned everybody from the 65th to the 70th to the 80th percentile to make sure that we can continue to attract, recruit, and retain qualified people, because once our current employees do their service terms and they realize the fruit of their labor and do retirement, we need to be able to attract that same level of talent. We also brought in for general government the steps in the city's civil service, the merit adjustments. We added a 2% cost of living for general government employees, and for public safety, we budgeted 3.5%. However, the actual came in at 5%, or $2 billion. So that was something that we had to absorb with vacancy savings or operational savings. We have also included some additional funding for retiree health care. We also included absorbed cost increases for our other operational expenditures like supplies, fuel, and maintenance. We also put some funding in the budget for Medicaid. We continue to fund our internal service investments for IT, our fleet, our vehicle replacement. And then we had some future and focused key operational items and other service expansions. Ironically came in at $2 million. So if we hadn't funded those, we would have had the additional $2 million for the public safety market. But with that, we added a net of 8 new positions in the general fund. We did some expansion projects for Wi-Fi hotspots and then neighborhood grant program. For current year 24, which is this current fiscal year, for all the funds, we are projecting revenue to be above budget and expenditures to be slightly below. We sold bonds the last 2 days. Our general obligation bonds were a little over 130 million. Our certificates of obligation, 13.8 million. Water and sewer revenue fund bonds of 28 million. Our bond ratings were affirmed by our rating agencies. We continue to maintain our AAA ratings. And because of the financial policies and practices and sound foundation that we did this year, our water was upgraded from the AA2 to the AA1. Looking forward to fiscal year 25 for revenues, we are proposing to maintain the current tax rate of the 0.5891. Staff estimate right now, based on the preliminary valuation that we got in May, but we'll get the actual certified goal next Thursday. Right now, we're valued at $41.85 billion. This is a 7.3% increase from last year. I still want to maintain the allocation between O&M and I&S. We've also increased the over 65 and disabled persons exemption by 5,000 from 50,000 to 55,000 for tax release for those eligible taxpayers. And this equates to about a little over 290,000 reduction in revenue. We're projecting sales tax projects a slight growth. Other revenues we're projecting slight growth. Water and sewer is a possible projected 7% increase. City of Dallas and the Trinity River Authority do our treatment costs, and these are pass-through costs that come through the actual water rates. The municipal drainage utility, we're projecting $1 per year increase over the next 5 years to support the neighborhood drainage program. And then solid waste services, there is no rate increase. And this is a snapshot of fiscal year 25 based on the valuations that we have so far. We are projecting increases in property tax and sales tax of 11.6 million. That's new revenue. However, our expenditure increases, the additional 2 million for the market adjustment that we didn't budget for, along with 5% that we're going to budget for this year from civil service, along with a 1.5% COLA, and then funding steps and merit increases, along with other operational increases in pension and health insurance, and then funding the recreation and aquatics expenditures. Our expenditure increases are almost 13.5 million. So right now we're showing a shortfall of a little over $1.8 million. However, at the time when we do balance the budget, we will make some expenditure cuts, and we will firm up our revenue estimates to make sure that our revenues do match our expenditures, and we do pass a structurally balanced budget. So for fiscal year 25, we're going to continue our competitive personnel investment because we do want to make sure that we can attract and retain highly qualified individuals. We will continue our community and economic investments. We'll absorb any inflation cost increases without vacancy and operational savings. We will continue to fund our maintenance, equipment, and infrastructure investments. We will still support our future five-year operational plan, and we will present a structurally balanced budget. And I'd be happy to answer any questions. Okay, a AAA rating, I'm sorry, I'm glad you asked that question because I didn't mention it. It's similar to an individual credit score. So the better the bond rating, we go out to sell and issue bonds, we get a better interest rate, which results in a reduction of more savings for the residents paying on their debt. So similar to credit score for an individual, the better credit rating you have, less interest rate you pay, and you get a better interest rate.
But they're getting a AAA, is there anything better?
That's the highest. Yes, sir. The interest rate we budgeted at 4.75%, but it's been trending well over 5%. And so for the budget, we will probably do about 5.25%. Yes.
Lease.
No, we purchased most of them. Yes. Yes. And during the pandemic, we've had a hard time with the supply chain costs and everything, trying to get vehicles. I mean, a fire apparatus can take anywhere from 18 to 24 months, even going out longer than to build our fire apparatus. But just getting the Tahoes or trucks or anything like that is a 2-year lead time. But no, we purchase vehicles. And you know, with the public safety vehicles, we have to replace those on a regular basis.
We're still pretty new to Irving. What is Medicaid?
That's going to be a new Medicaid company for the fire station, emergency services. It is 9 firefighters, I believe.
9-3.
What is the slide that it's showing revenue increases and then expenditures? The last one, county reference, property tax, sales tax, Is that because of new construction and new businesses?
It's because of new construction, the new valuation.
Evaluation.
Yeah, so whatever your appraised property is, that would decrease in valuation. Well, what we have in the budget, right, transitioning to the 80th percentile, that really positioned us to be in a good position to attract the people. I think for our firefighters, we were like #1, firefighter salaries, we were like #1, and police, in like 5 years of a police officer, introductory police officer, they'll be at 6 figures, over 100,000 in that 5-year period. But our general government steps, each step, we're on the step program, and it's 11 steps. Between each step every year is 3.5% increase, and then for police and fire, it's a 5% increase.
Yeah, this bill that you showed the 7% increase in water receipts. Could you talk with us briefly what that number has done over the last few years? What you think it's going to do in the next couple of years as Dallas pays more money to transport more of their water?
Well, basically, it's not necessarily the transport costs, it's the treatment costs. They also charge us a lot for the treatment costs. And that's what that 7% is. I think we looked at it was around averaging around like 6% increase over the next 5 years. But again, that just depends on the treatment costs. Treatment costs are possibly projected to come in over 10%.
Is that cost based off of volume? Is that a cost of material with water?
That's a good question. I would think so. I don't know for sure. I can get back to you sure on how they. But mostly when they're doing their treatment costs or any external entity, you know, they're factoring in their operation costs because they have higher salaries because of the competitive labor market as well as other inflation in their material costs. Like
now, Ms. Phillips, we want to give you this coin. It's got the 4-way test on it of things we think say or do. This may become helpful for you as you go to budget meetings. Council. Is it the truth? That's number one. Is it the truth? Keep going back to that. Is it the truth? All right. Can we get a picture?
I don't know. Okay. I'm going to give you more.
Thank you.
All right, I just want to remind everyone that we had a good bucket offering, $87 today. So with the last 2 weeks, that's $160 for flood relief. That's good. We've got 2 more weeks to go. And we're going to build flags on Saturday, the 27th. It's Saturday, August the 3rd, 8:30 to 9:30. And we have to build 150 flags at a minimum for that. So with that, we are honored to have the 7th generation son of President Martin Van Buren with us. John Van Buren, who is going to lead us in the 4-way test of the things we think, say, and do. Would you stand?
If he was alive, he'd be speaking tonight. The 4-way test of the things to think, say, or do. Number 1.
Is it the truth?
Number 2.
It's all concerned.
Number 3.
Will it build good
Better friendship.
And number 4.
Will it be constitutional? And Ms. Phillips, you take time to eat your lunch.
Okay.
Okay, so just get out of here. And if there's anything else, we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Good job. I think it's right. So he was asking about if the TRA or the,
It's all operation.
he was asking if it was based off of the treatment cost or like something.
Thank you.